Damn, Ingenious made the beat? Yo, welcome to another episode of the Coach Life Podcast Radio. I'm, of course, your host, Prince of Positivity, Coach Steve. Join with me, my co-pilot, partner in crime, the dime dropper himself, Coach Luna. How we doing, Brody?
Back at it. Back at it.
You
2 weeks
know
in
it,
a row, it almost feel like routine again.
right? Back at it, for real, man. For
Uh,
real. Always glad to have the co-pilot back because when we start having these conversations about some of the stuff we talk about, we need some of that dime dropping.
I,
We need
I,
we need some loose change.
I try my best, bro. I try my best.
We need some loose change on this one. Tell the fans out there today what we're talking about.
Man, one of my favorite lines, it's a 2 year anniversary since my friends passed in that car accident. And like I was telling you, one of the things that my good friend, my brother DJ, what he had started a clothing line in a business. And the name of it was Straight Business, right? But the slogan behind it was talk is cheap.
Heavy, heavy. When the words don't necessarily match the work, that's what we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reflecting on a song that I heard, one of my favorite songs, Big Sean, Sacrifice. There's a line in that song that says, I done gave up so much free time knowing time ain't free because I sacrificed. I love that line because it hits on so many different levels. Because when we talk about talk is cheap, when we talk about the words don't necessarily match the work, there's a lot of sacrifice that's involved. And I don't think we really understand how much sacrifice is actually involved in getting to where you actually want to be. Because we can do this all day. We on a podcast, bro. What we talking about right now, if we're not actually going out and living what we talking about right now, this is
We the
futile.
biggest hypocrites on earth.
Absolutely. It's futile
We
at the
just
end of the day.
we just junkies with the mic.
Exactly. Exactly. So that being said, we're going to touch on talking and actually walking the walk that you talk. We're going to talk about, how what that difference actually looks like, the truth versus the talk portion, right? We're going to dive way deep into that and then talk about some of those practical ways you can actually put some of those things into fruition, like make them actually happen, right? So there's a question that I wanted to start off with before we go deep into this. And funny enough, bro, like I was talking to Coach Lloyd about this, and he had a conversation with somebody, and the famous words popped up. And I wanted to get your perspective on this. God's still working on me. When you hear that line, what does that tell what does that tell you back up? What had that told you past Luna? What did that mean to you past Luna? And what does that mean to you in today's Luna?
In the past, God still working on me was literally just an excuse I was giving myself to not hold myself accountable, and not hold myself to a standard that I know that I should be upholding myself to. It's funny because it's funny that that's the first question. Mind y'all, these questions this is raw.
Super raw, because we ain't talked about this at all.
It's funny that you asked that question because before I came up, I was thinking about, and on my drive here, I thought about like we've all had that ability to where like when we have conversations with people, we give great advice. But in retrospect, we don't fulfill and live out that same advice that we give to people a lot of the time,
Facts.
right? And that ability to tell somebody else what to do, how to do, is because there's nothing that directly happens to me, whether it fails or not. I'm just giving the advice, right? So that part is the part where like people don't want to hold themselves to that standard. And like I said, I didn't want to. I was afraid to live to that standard because I did not fully understand what it meant to kind of like walk with him. And when we say walk, for whatever reason, we automatically go to the extreme. And it's a
The
patient,
finished work.
yeah, like you want to automatically come to him finished, and that's not what it is. Like you got to come to him exactly as you are. But from this point forward, you walk with him, meaning every little incremental step is going to be different than any other step that you've taken before because it's a completely new path, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to be patient with the idea that, yes, God is working on me, but I'm also working with God. That's the part where the disconnect is because we're not putting that work in to say, hey, yes, he's working on you, but are you working with him? Like there's no, if there's no reciprocation in that relationship, how is that going to bring forth any fruit? And how I see it now is if you say God is still working on me, like I said, it's true, but it also you're kind of living in a sense of arrogance because you are fooling yourself thinking that you still have time. And the amount of pods that we've had and the amount of topics that we've covered and events that we've seen and events that we've experienced or in a experience, seen around us, that concept of I got time is not necessarily true. You know
Facts.
what I'm saying? Like it that where do we get that sense of idea that tomorrow is promised? We know it's not. Like there's too many examples in this life where we have seen people that were once here that are no longer with us anymore, and we're fooling ourselves with the concept of thinking that we're okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, man, we need to be okay because we're okay with him. You know what I'm saying? Not okay by my own moral standards. That ain't what it is. Like
Facts.
that's way back there.
So you mentioned something, and I want to kind of go back and unpack this a little bit more because we talked about you said when there may be a sentiment of truth to God still working on me. I felt that same way until I had a little bit of a deeper conversation with Coach Lloyd. One of the things that I've always felt, and I'm gonna go past me would say God's still working on me. Same thing that you just said, same excuse. Gave myself the excuse and the time that I needed to eventually get to where I want to be, right? I know the person that I want to be. I know where I want to go. I know what the finished I think I know what the finished product look like, right? I know what that finished Steve looks like. But I know how much work it's going to take to get to that point. And having the excuse of just kind of just chipping away at certain things as opposed to actually taking the real chunks out of doing the work is a whole lot easier, right? So a whole lot easier. If it told you, hey yo, I need you to get all the water out of Lake Michigan, but I'm gonna give you a Q-tip to do it. It's gonna be a long time. It's gonna be a real, real long time for you actually get some progress, right? But eventually you got to start doing some of the harder work that's required. And for me, the less mature version of myself looked at it as I got the time. I'll eventually get to that. When I get to this, then I'll be able to do this. And when I get to this, I'll be able to do this. So just I'm gonna compound it in my own head. right? I'll eventually get to that point. But having this conversation that I had with Coach Lloyd, one of the things that he mentioned was he brought it back to the word, which again I love that he circled it back to this, where he said, "How many days did it take God to create all of this?"
6.
And he rested on the seventh, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he done. He did everything that he was going to do. Everything is done the way that he planned it to be. You can go back and go YouTube this, and I'm going to go through all the genealogy of, of every single person in the Bible, but go back from Adam and just literally go through every person. The name in Hebrew spells out essentially that Jesus was coming. This is
Mm-hmm.
already pre-planned, right? He already had this. This was all created, all already done. So it's done at that point. To imply that God is still working on me says that he still got work to do on me. I don't think that that's necessarily true.
Yeah.
That's saying almost like he still got work to do, not I still have work to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like we got to catch up to where he's at. That's why, again, it's so important what you just said a few minutes ago is to wherever you are, tell him to meet you where you are. So that way he can just walk with you through this journey that we call life.
But
So,
here you go with that though. Here's Philippians 1:6.
yes,
Being confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work. What does begin? Began means has already started
it's
a
already
process.
started. Yep.
In you will perfect it until the day of Jesus. So that means that this is a process. But that's where I'm saying in my part, where is when we're talking about this of that talk is cheap and God is still working on me, you're already done. Where is your part in this, and where is your obedience, where is your walk in this, so that you can see through the to the completion?
Right.
It literally
Right.
says that he who began a good work in you will perfect it until the day of Jesus Christ. So that means until our Savior returns, you are still going to be on this journey. It is on you to go ahead and chase him. You are already made perfect in his image. It's on you.
Right. You got
How
to
do
do the
you
work.
you got to do the you got to be obedient on your part on what the work is.
So, coach, answer this next question for me then.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that people love to talk about the stuff that they want to do as opposed to doing the stuff that they want to do when it comes to, you alluded to this in the last question, but when it comes to talking to the general population, why is
Mm-hmm.
it that we love to kick it out, but we don't
It's
necessarily,
the idea that I don't have to deal with the consequences of whatever I say, and we if that's the part where we fool ourselves as people, is because we believe that what we say we're not going to be held accountable for. And and those are the things where, like, everything that's done in the darkness will come to light.
hmm
Well, anything that comes out of our mouth, whether it's vile, detestable, whatever the case may be, will be held against us. And those are the things that I think. And then, I've said this before, because we don't feel immediate. We are a people who need immediate consequence for our actions, for us to respond the way that we think we're supposed to respond. You know what I'm saying? So
hmm
we don't feel that immediate conviction. And then again, I'm talking about as people. We don't immediately feel that conviction of the consequences of what I'm saying, because it's whatever I feel like. And there's no holiness with a lot of the things that come out of our mouths. So we don't care about what the consequences will be. As opposed to the actions, we think, well, if I do this or I don't do this, then I'll be, okay, or I won't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm avoiding doing these things and all these other things. Like, as if what I say isn't just almost just as bad. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? It's like, hey man, everything we do has to be held to a high standard. You
You
can't
know,
come in this house with these dirty shoes.
right.
You can't come in this house with these dirty hands. You can't come in this house. You can't come in here the way you are out there. I can't. You can't come in.
You know, you mentioned something a few minutes ago about the mental piece, right? And I think a lot of us, including myself, like, and everything that we talked about again, I want to make sure that everybody understands that when we have these kind of conversations, this isn't to point the finger, right? This is to put the mirror up. That's for us included. That's on this pod. Like that's for me and Coach Luna. That's for us to put the mirror up in front of ourselves and see these same flaws so that we can continue to get better. It's the whole reason why we have this podcast so that we can continue to grow and get better. But the mental doing, I've found myself counting the mental dues as part of the work. So if I count it as the work, I'm doing something. Can you tell everybody why it's important to not necessarily count the mental doing as part of the work? Like that's cool that you're thinking about it. That's cool that you're thinking about doing some of these things, but you can't count that as part of the work. And I think too many of us fall into that area of I'm thinking about the stuff that I want to do. I'm thinking about how I want to be better. I'm thinking about all the stuff that, is going to prohibit me from getting to where I want to get to. So I'm going to count that as the doing part.
Well, there's no harm in that because you know what thinking is? Thinking is the seed. And the thing that we need to understand for ourselves is with a seed that goes into the soil does not grow just because it went into the soil. It has to go through a process, and the process for just the seed is the water. Okay. And now, when we're talking about us as us being the seed, who's the water? The word is the water, the Holy Spirit, all those things. So if I want to go to this process of being a seed that goes and starts becoming, starts digging into, because what happens first, coach? Does the tree or plant come out first, or do the roots grow? Then it stems.
It's
So
always rooted. Yep.
the more you dive into his word, that's your roots. That's the Holy Spirit is the water. Those are your roots that are getting closer and closer to the edges. That's getting and climbing. That's getting strong into that foundation. Then the plant, the fruits, all that comes after all that. But
Facts.
you are in that process. If you're not going ahead and doing every single day by receiving His word and diving into His word and keeping yourself from things that are not of His, you're not. You're going to continue to just be that seed that's in that dirt, but it ain't growing. You know what
Facts.
I'm saying? And that's the part where a lot of us get stuck is we're comfortable with being the seed, but we're called to be so much more. This is not my opinion. This is all in scripture.
Absolutely. That exactly. This is 100% scripture because this takes me back to Luke chapter 10. Um, and that's one of the parable about the fig tree. That right there was one of the that was a moment for me personally to understand how much work is actually required to produce the fruit that you actually want to produce.
Coach, can
So,
you dive into Luke 10 just a little bit more so
absolutely,
for those
absolutely.
who not know?
For those who may not know, this is when Jesus tells the parable of the fig tree, and it was a person that owned an entire garden, and in that garden there was a fig tree that didn't grow, it didn't produce any fruit, and he went to this tree pretty frequently. And eventually, one of these days, he just got to the tree and was like, you know what? I'm tired of this tree. Told the pretty much the farmer, we got to cut this thing down. Cut it down, and it's just wasting space in soil right now. We can put something else here that's going to actually produce fruit. The farmer, who understood what needed to happen because, again, he tends to the soil. He understands how to grow and how to get things to grow, right? Told the owner, let's not cut it down. Let me dig around this tree, put manure around this tree, give it a year, and then after that year, if it doesn't produce any fruit, then we'll cut the tree down. The parable stops right there. I think we understand why. Once you start taking care of the tree and actually putting in the work for that tree, it produces fruit. It's going to grow. It's going to do something at that point. The cool part about this is that you can spin this in a bunch of different ways. Goes back to what you just said a few minutes ago. That seed again is getting rooted at that point. We tended to it. There's work that's being done. The other piece of this that I think is very interesting is the amount of shit you got to go through to get to where you need to get through. Sometimes it's required. And a lot of us, we think that all of the shit that's thrown on us is that's too much. But sometimes that's required. Takes me back to another story that I heard a while back about a bird that was flying in the winter. Wings froze, couldn't fly, fell on the ground. A cow goes over it, it shits on the bird. The bird wings start warming up. Now he got the mobility of his wings. But then he started chirping, started talking too much. A cat came into the pile of shit and found the bird and ate the bird. All that talking got you nowhere because you didn't put any work in. I love that parable of the fig tree because it shows how much you actually have to work to get to where you need to get to produce what you need to produce. I love it even more that Jesus didn't finish the story. Like he didn't go into detail to say like, oh, after a year, it produced fruit. And it was so much fruit that it did this, that, and the third. Like it's understood that the work is going to produce what you're trying to look for.
One of my favorite things that Jesus always said is that he who has ears, let him hear.
Facts.
We all have ears. And
Facts.
let him hear. That's a choice.
It is. It is 100%. Definitely a choice. Again, you hear it all the time in the Bible. Faith without works. What's that again? I think it's
Dead.
dead. It's dead at that point. So we have to do something with the work that's given to us. Like we have to do something. It's great to be planning. And I'm not taking away from the planning part. Again, when I talk about the mental piece, I'm not saying don't plan. Planning is important. That's imperative to get to where you need to get to. Again, if you're doing any type of project, you'd be a fool to start that project without putting together an actual plan of what it is that you're going to do to get that job done.
So, but here's the thing, Coach. This is where we can't make thinking the bad guy, because if I am reading his word and rooting in his word, his thoughts start to become my thoughts. And my
Absolutely.
thoughts start aligning with the things that he wants me to spend my time on, right? So as I continue to grow in his word, your thoughts completely shift. You don't think about the things that you used to think about. You don't hunger or thirst for the things that you used to thirst or hunger from. And, that's the part where it's important. And I can't harp on it enough, bro. It is every single day. And like, bro, the amount of things that just get revealed to me every single day, like it's funny how, like, right, because I finished the Bible and I restarted it all over again. And now I'm in Leviticus, right? But at the same time, I'm finishing my New Testament in a year, and it's in Romans.
Hmm.
And the the things that I read in between Exodus and Leviticus that crosses with Hebrews, and understand why these old laws had to get fulfilled by him so that we could live And just knowing the whole story in between to where we are now as a people, it's like poof.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's a masterpiece. And thank you, because we were doomed. We were legitimately doomed all over again, dog. But I'm not gonna
It's
go. I'm not
yeah,
gonna dive into that.
that sounds like another pod right there.
Dive into that.
That sounds like a whole nother pod right there. So the thinking, the doing part, separating ourselves from being the doer, the the talker and the doer.
Yep.
I think we touched on this a little bit in the past pod, um, um, on making that transition and holding that mirror up into our face, and actually taking that accountability. And a lot of times when you have those kind of conversations with people, and I can see this, like I can see if I had someone come to me and say, God's still working on me, and we flip it and have the conversation like, no, God ain't still working on you. You're just not doing the work that's required. I think a lot of people will hear that and immediately put up the shield. Now
Yeah.
I'm going to be defensive, because now what you're telling me is that I'm not doing anything, and that you're better than me, or that you see this better than I do. And again, it's always in how we say things to people to get them to understand that other side of it.
Mhm.
Why is it so important, or better question, how can we have these kind of conversations with people so that they don't feel almost like they're getting contested at this point?
You gotta lead with love. You gotta lead with love, but then also you gotta be the person that whatever examples or whatever things or whatever advice that you're gonna come with, and you're also doing yourself. Because you're you are your big like you are your testament. You are your biggest advertisement.
Hmm.
You are that. And my pastor says this all the time. He was like, um, people view Christianity based off how they see you. If you call yourself a follower, they see Christianity as whatever, however you move, right? And if you put that on yourself and you start thinking about that, like, man, am I representing Christ the way I'm supposed to? Like, if God was to come down right now and got here, he said that this is my team, would I be a good teammate? Would I be a person that he could trust, he could depend on? All these things. Like, am I moving the way I'm supposed to? If the answer is no, congratulations. That's called conviction. Now you have to go ahead and move from that position. The worst thing you could do is feel conviction and put it off to the side. Conviction to me is now the way I see it is a is probably the best gift as a human being that we can have, because it's the closest that we can have. It's the closest we can get to God and be able to hear his voice and be able to feel his presence
Hmm.
without him being directly in front of us.
I love what you just said, because there's a cost that comes with that. There's a sacrifice that comes with that.
Oh, 100%. It's not sexy, it's not cute, but he literally said, do not be of this world. You are called to be different. And like I tell my wife this all the time. I have finally gotten to a point in my life where I am 1000% okay with not being a version of myself that was detrimental to me, or a version of myself that I'm not meant to be.
Hey, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, I had a conversation. I love that, because I had a conversation with a friend of mine just this past weekend, and he's he went through a divorce, and having a lot of, a lot of issues right now. And he's in a situation where things ain't necessarily working out the way that he had initially planned them to work out. And he said there's an appearance there that makes it seem like he's the bad guy. And he said, I don't like that appearance that people may think I'm the bad guy in this situation. And he was like, and to be fair, like I know pieces of the story. Again, I know it from his perspective, obviously. I don't know it from both perspectives. So I gotta speak as unbiased as I possibly can in this situation, right? But one of the things that he said was like, I just don't like how people from the outside may look at this and then, may look at him as, the problem. And one of the things, the first thing that I told him, I was like, bro, I'm gonna stop you right there and I'm gonna tell you, I had to get to a point in my own life where I had to stop feeling the pressure from people on the outside that have no bearing on what's going on the inside. Zero bearing. So when you get to that point where that does not matter, that's when you start to actually be free and start living free. I finished Matthew a while ago, and there's a passage in Matthew that I have like highlighted a whole bunch of times, started a whole bunch of times, underlined it a whole bunch of times. Like I got it written down on a sticky note over here. Matthew 7:21. This is like the scariest thing that read in the Bible. And I'm went through Revelations already. This is one of the scariest things that I read in the Bible. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Not only the one who does the will of my Father. So you telling me that I could say all the right things, I can try to walk this path and still won't get in? That requires a different level of understanding. That requires a different level of work that needs to be done. So seeing that and understanding that, again, those things, that work needs to be done. If you just read that in context, right? You just read that. Like, I go to church, I do communion, I give, my tithes, um, I help out the poor every once in a while, and do these things, but I still smoke, I still drink, I still, lust heavily, I still do all these things. That doesn't outweigh any of the work that you're doing. So again, there's work that's being done, but the quality of the work ain't worth nothing.
Yeah. It's like spiritual debt, dog. It's like what we talked about. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? And here's the thing where, with the whole smoking and drinking and all, because I already know, "Well, man, it ain't bad, it ain't nothing in the Bible, blah, blah, blah." You and
Sure.
from the sense of what you're saying, that is nothing directly that says you should not do this, you should not do that with those two, you are correct. But it does say if strong, it does talk about strong drink, it does talk about drunkards, it does talk about adultery, it does talk about all these things, that anything that would put yourself in a mind altering state or putting yourself in a place where basically he can't be or he wouldn't be. Why would you put yourself in them situations? And listen, I'm coming from this is coming from a person
It's coming from persons, bro, that have
that
lived this.
drank for the day I turned 21, 12 straight years of heavy binge drinking consistently. Now I'm talking about, ain't nobody that we've had on this pod that can go toe to toe with as much as I did. And Black and Milds, come on now, man. That was like Christmas and candy canes with me and a Black and Mild, dog. And now I'm a year plus on tobacco, of being completely tobacco free. A year going on a year in alcohol,
And, it's literally by the grace of God. And
100.
you can't, and until you understand that, until you have that revelation of saying, man, I can get through this because I have him. Until you get to that spot and be like, man, I can because of him. Don't say I can because I think I'm strong enough. I can because I think I have, I do this, I do this, I blah, blah. No, 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 no. It is by his grace and his grace alone. And
Facts.
by his stripes, you will be healed.
Facts.
That's
Uh,
it. That's literally it, man. I can't put it any other way because I'm speaking from experience. And I'm
Same.
speaking from a place where I was a person who was trying to find ways to always put band-aids on a leaking boat.
That was 1000% me as well. 1000%.
And you have to get to a point where it's like, man, all my ways, all these self-help books that I read, all these things, they're just another way of a fancier way of me trying to put, a different type of duct tape on here to try to make this better. Like, nah, man, he's literally saying, I have that perfect ship right there. That's all yours. But I need your heart and I need you to be who I'm asking you to be. Period. You worried about this little pontoon boat. I got the Titanic right there without that's never gonna sink, never
I was
gonna
gonna say. I was
hurt.
make sure. I'm glad
I
that you
couldn't
said
think of
was gonna
another
say.
ship.
Right.
I couldn't think
I
of
was gonna
another
say,
ship.
bro.
But I need that picture of that you to think like that's what's promised to me because that's who he is.
Right.
Not because I believe in him and I'm gonna get all these things. No, no, no. That's who he is, perfection. His image is in me. So I have to be him.
Mm-hmm.
What do
And
I do? So I avoid the things that are not of him.
and the crazy part is again, it goes back to what you said. Those small changes that you end up making, um, giving it 100% to God and saying that I can't fix this. Smoking
I
weed, that was me. I can't fix this, God. I went to
I'm,
God and said, I can't fix this. I'm doing this because I'm trying to get away from all of the crap that's going on in my life. I can't fix this. So help
I
me fix this.
I remember. I can't remember the day, but I remember. I want to say it was January of 2024, bro. I remember,
Hmm.
bro. I broke down in tears, and Bree
Hmm.
wasn't. Bree wasn't home, dog. I went and got on my knees, bro, and was bawling and said, "Man, because bro, I at this point I wrecked my car, totaled my car. I would embarrass myself at Rack's wedding by how belligerent I had got.
Hmm.
Then November 11th happened. And then fast forward January 1st, I had my panic attack. Bro, I was so overwhelmed with how alcohol was kind of driving me at this point. And I remember the first thing I did, I tried to go on a 21-day fast of no drinking. But guess what it turned into? No hard liquor.
Hmm.
And
Because
and
caveat.
a week later, I had a drink, and I was like, dog, I am tired of battling myself. I am tired of going to bed with this feeling of failing. I am tired of going to this place of self pity. I'm tired of loathing on this. And I said, Lord, I'm tired of this feeling. Take it. Open arms, on my knees. Lord,
Take it.
please take it. Take it from me. Because me asking for help, you sent enough help. I'm clearly not responding. Take it from me. Make it to where I
You
can.
like
And
the you
what
like to
all
do it
started,
in the river. I mean in the ocean, bro.
remember the things that were happening. My engine failure. Well, no, was my steering wheel completely locked. Couldn't go to Texas State that weekend. I didn't go to any Texas State games last year. The second time I tried to go to a Texas State game,
The starter,
was
wasn't it?
my starter. Yeah.
Those two things happened on the day before I was supposed to
Yep.
go to a thing. Lord knew that if I was to go there, I wasn't ready for that.
Well, again, we talked about that in the pod. The
We
starter,
did.
the
Yeah,
starter
man.
was again
We
this
literally had a whole pod about this.
exactly
But
because
those
that
were
was
the
what was
things.
needed.
Exactly, bro. So it was so many things that like weekends where I would usually find ways to go ahead and give myself the excuse to go out with all these other things. Like my my plate, my plate was all of a sudden full with other things.
Hmm. You
My
have a choice at
desires,
that point.
yeah, bro. Like he legitimately like, yeah, nope, not no, you're not having that choice, buddy. Nope, you told me to take it away. Mm-hmm. Yep, can't do that. Nope, 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 nope. I'm gonna make you feel bad about trying to go there. Nope, you can't go there. And the more and more I developed that like absence of going to the bars and all those things, the more and more it became
Hmm.
easier on the back end to be like, nah, I'm good.
You know what is really gratifying is the other side. And we talked about again the journey. We talked about, being at the start, and we talked about the journey. For a second, I want to talk about being on the other side and what it feels like to be on the other side.
Man,
I will say this. We went to we went to a wedding a while back. And again, I haven't drank in God knows how long. Like, can't even tell you the last time that I like got intoxicated. Couldn't even tell you. I had a buddy of mine who's like, oh, let me buy you a drink. Not even thinking, just like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. Love whiskey. If anybody know me, whiskey was the drink. Give me a bottle of Jameson for my birthday. Me and you are best friends. I had that whiskey on the rocks, and I remember taking the first sip. And I remember after taking the first sip, I said to myself, like, ew. Like, ugh. Now, that wasn't good whiskey. It was an expensive bottle of whiskey that he bought. It's just the fact that, like, you just don't have that same pull for it anymore. That same magnet for it is just gone now. It's polar opposite now. Now it's almost like, nah, I'll just take a cranberry juice. Nah, I sound like an old man at that point. Just like
for me,
I'll take a cranberry juice, or I'll take a water, or I'll
give me
take
a,
a Sprite, right?
give me a Topo Chico.
Right.
Give me a lime. Now I got a little Topo Rita.
Exactly. It's like you don't have the same fascination for those things that you once had. And you find out real quick with those fascinations probably stem from someone else, probably stem from something else, probably stem from something you're running from, probably stem from something that you you you've been trying to get rid of, right? Like, you find out what the root cause of it actually is once you actually lay it in his hands and say, "Look, I'm not capable of doing this by myself. I can't do this by myself. I've tried to do this by myself. I tried to do the whole 21-day fast thing. I mean, when we first started the podcast, it was like, you know what? 21 days of not smoking, I could do that no problem. That lasted all of 5 days. Got a week and was like, yeah, it's the weekend. What are the weekends for? Weekends are for partying. That's what we're gonna do. So we just want to do it Monday through Friday. Again, band-aid in the boat, band-aid in the Titanic at that point, right? It doesn't make sense. But once you get over the hump, things just become so much easier. Not even just to let those things go, but to let go of stuff that's like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is in the same vein of it. Because now you just have a different mindset. Now the work can actually start happening at that point. You can start putting the work into, into play at that point. And things just immediately just start becoming easier. And
Yeah.
that's why I love last week, or 2 weeks ago, in our last pod, you had made the comment and hesitated for a second because you were like, I don't want to say easy because it ain't easy for everybody. And I said, no, bro, say easy because it is easy. It absolutely is. Once you get over the hump, though, it is actually easy. The hump is you. You're the hump. You're the reason why it hasn't changed. You need to put the mirror up in your face and stop saying, God is still working on me, and say, God, meet me where I'm at and help me get over myself. Because that's pride.
Mm.
I believe the first sin in the Bible was not Adam and Eve eating the fruit. The first sin was the devil, Lucifer, having pride, seeing himself for the first time. I'm Look at me. Look at me. That prideful nature is what expelled him from heaven. That prideful nature is what stops all of us from actually getting the growth that we actually want to get to. It's being, it's not having that pride. It's literally unloading that from yourself. And once you start doing that and you start really truly emptying yourself of those things and freeing yourself of those things, you start uncuffing yourself because you've been cuffed to all these things all your life. It's easy to go out and have a drink when you've been drinking for forever. Crazy part is that you see a lot of this in your family. I can say, and just in my family alone, there's a lot of alcoholics in my family. A lot. Both of my grandfathers were alcoholics. Both of them. And both of them passed because of being an alcoholic. Yet we have people still in the family, still drinking, still doing stuff, still going down the same path. But you see how it ended though. And it ends the same for every single person that go down that same pathway. But we keep on doing it
The
because
arrogance to believe that it's not going to be, my story's
it's
going to be
not
different.
gonna be me because I got more control over it. Till you find out you don't. Man. I love where this went, bro. I love where this went. And I know that there's so much more that we can unpack, but we hitting the hour mark right now. We hitting the hour mark right now. And it's almost dinner time. I gotta go take care of the wife. So that being said, Coach, close us out for Talk is Cheap.
Man. As at this point, man, if you've been listening to us for a while now, you know our main thing is just do the work. Um, and you know, I what's on my heart right now is for anybody that feels like, man, I haven't felt good in a while. I would like for you to do something this between now and Christmas. Go serve.
Mm,
Go and find whether it's giving food or donating toys or whatever the case may be, find something in your community and go serve. The vitality that you will get and that liveliness and that joy that you will get from seeing someone um, who legitimately has it worse than you, by seeing their faces and seeing their responses by something that's just to you so minuscule and so mundane, that feeling that you feel, that's gratitude working on you. That's him showing himself and revealing himself to you. that little bit of joy and that little bit of love that you just seen in that child's eyes or that person's eyes who hasn't been able to get a meal in Lord knows how long, man, that little bit of joy right there is the sense of peace that God is waiting to give you at all times. And it's like I I think, bro, I know he wants that for all of us. But it's like you said, and it stuck with me like that hump is you. You are the hump. Like the amount of things that we feel like other people doing this, man, the world doing this, the white man, blah, blah, blah. Bro, no, man. No. It's you, bro. Hands down.
Start there.
Just stop. Let's control you. Let's get you under control. You don't need to be, there ain't no man, nobody else is going to try to control you. No human on earth has the ability to control you. You need to get yourself reconnected. And you need to humble yourself. Like that, one of my favorite quotes that I've ran into most recently is the highest I'll ever get is at his feet.
Facts. Facts.
The
Facts.
highest I'll ever get is at his feet. The moment I start trying to see myself above, middle, anything like that, it's a wrap. The highest I will get was at his feet. We talking about God himself was down here washing other people's feet. Serving, breaking bread with the one he knew was going to go ahead and turn him in. And still loved him. When you read those stories and you look at it from a place, I triple dog dare you to go serve and then read the New Testament right after and tell me you don't come out a new person.
Whoo, bruh.
I dare you to go ahead, go serve, read the New Testament, and tell me you're not going to come out a new person.
Bruh, I got to share this before we leave. I have to share this. Just recently, there was, I can't remember exactly what passage this was, the mustard seed. And Jesus said, having the faith of a mustard seed, again, that mustard seed, again, will produce 30, 60, 100-fold, right? I want to put some emphasis on this 30, 60, 100 real quick. So, a friend of mine lost her job. We talking about serving, right? A friend of mine lost her job a while back. She lost it on a Friday. She called me Friday and she was super irate, just super irate. And I was like, yo, calm down, chill out. Telling you, there's a reason for this. There's a reason for this. Somebody that I had been mentoring, I had reached out to her that same day and said, hey, I have a friend of mine that lost her job. Do you have anything that's open? She's like, Steve, I'm looking for somebody right now. Send me her resume. Gave her a resume. She got her interview the following week. She started work the following week after that. Guess how much she getting paid? Which she was only making like 20, low 20s at the time. Guess how much she was getting paid for this new job?
I'm going to guess because of the 30, 60, 100, we're going to go with 60.
$30 an hour.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 30, 60, 90.
Ah,
I'm at 30,
following
60,
you.
100.
Following you.
$30 an hour. Serving. Selfless. Could have not sent the resume, but something told me get her over there. This will be a better opportunity for her. Serving. $30 an hour. Last week or 2 weeks ago, when we had our last pod, I had told you in a pre-show, I was like, I'm gonna save this because I think this is special. Thank you, Lord. 60 days clean from smoking.
Man, that's big, bro.
That's huge. Rewind. 3 weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, I had $100 bill in my pocket. I went to go and pick up my daughter from school. On my way to go pick her up, I saw a lady on the side of the road. She had a sign. She said, "I'm disabled and anything will help. God bless." I swear to you, Luna, this lady looked like she was there was it's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Everybody is outside. She was looking at me in the car. I drove past her. She was looking at me. I swear like this, bro. I went to pick up my daughter and I drove past again. As we were driving, I'm sitting there and my like felt like my when you like a little kid, you got money in your pocket, you can't wait to spend it. I felt like my pocket was getting hot. I was
Mhm.
like, I told my daughter, I was like, hey, yeah, I gotta turn around real quick. She was like, okay. So we turn around. I go into the gas station. I, where she's at, she's on the corner of the gas station. I pull into the gas station. Bro, as I'm driving toward the gas station, she is facing my direction. She sees me and then turns back around toward the street and then looks over her shoulder to see if I was, walking her way or like what I was doing. I pull up into the gas station, I get out the car. Now, mind you, I have $100 bill and I had 10 singles. My plan was I'm gonna make some steaks tonight. I'm gonna run over to what you call it, and I'm gonna go get some steaks for the fam, make some steaks for everybody. Guy was like, "No, you're not. No, you're not." I got out of the car, and as I'm walking toward her, I have the $10 in my hand, and I was like, "Pull out the 100," and I got it balled up in my hand. She can't see it. I literally got it like this in my hand. I go over to her. She turns around. She was like, "I thought you would come back," and I said, "This is for you." She grabbed the money, she looked at it, and immediately started breaking down in tears. She was like, "You don't understand." She's disabled, and you can kind of tell that she was disabled.
Mhm.
The clearest speech from somebody that's disabled. She said, "You don't understand. I'm able to feed my family now. I'm able to go home and feed my family now because of this. You don't understand what this did for me," and gave me this big old hug. She's like, "You have no idea what this did for me." And I told her, I was like, she was like, God, she kept saying, "God bless you, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you." And I was like, "No, God bless you." It's like, "You be safe out here. God bless you. Go take care of your family." And she was like, "I will." She started cleaning up all her stuff, picking up all her stuff, and then she started walking off. I got in the car. My daughter goes, "Dad, did you know that lady?" I was like, "No, I didn't." She's like, "That was really nice of you." I wasn't doing it because I wanted
Her to say anything.
her to see that, but I wanted her to see that I wanted the lady to see that people still care. My daughter goes, "That's really cool. I want to do something like that when I get older. I want to be able to do something to make people happy like that." 30, 60, 90. When I tell you there is a change that happens when you actually start surrendering, when you actually get over yourself, when you actually start laying down your own pride, man, he opened up everything for you.
Yeah.
Everything.
No, and again, when you start working on the word, it stays with immediately while you were talking. I was like, if whatever you do to the lowliest, blah blah blah. I know the words, couldn't remember the verse, but I'm gonna leave y'all with the verse. Matthew 25 verses
Mm,
40 through 45.
hmm
The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick in prison, and you did not look after me. They also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick in prison and did not help you? He will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me.
Hey, if that didn't hit home, I don't know what will. If
I don't
that
know
didn't
what else,
hit home, don't know what will.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Hey, sounds like another successful pod.
Yes,
That
sir.
being said, you like what you heard, smack that like and subscribe button if you want to hear more from the Coach Life fam. Until the next time, family, stay positive, my friends. Go serve somebody.